Finance your purchase and get holiday cash to use now. Get 0% interest for 5 years with no money down. Plus, holiday cash equal to your first 3 months' payments. Ashley Home Store.
We're just about a week or so away from the true beginning of the holiday season. Hopefully you're looking forward to all the hustle and bustle ahead in the days to come. It's also a big time to be spending some pretty big money. We know that this time of year, so it's a perfect chance for us to have left the studios once again talking with Garry Thurman with Guardian Investment Advisors. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. The fire's burning. It's feeling a little bit like the holidays are right around the corner. We're all spending a lot of money, and here you and I are talking about saving it, but for good reason.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Saving this time of year is kind of difficult.
It is a little bit difficult, and typically you think about saving it for that unexpected, surprise to come your way. You blow a tire on your car, your kids have to get braces or what have you, but we're talking a little bit differently this morning about getting older and the inevitability of sometimes having to find a new place to call home. Right.
Yeah, so if you look at the stats on it, Julie, I mean, most Americans out there are going to need some type of long-term care. The stat is actually all the way up to 70%. Now, to focus on women alone, 65 and older, 70% of women 65 and older are going to need some type of long-term care. And that really gets expensive if you haven't planned for it.
So, once again, we have left the Channel 3 studios and we're on location talking to you. We talked last time from the Vascular Institute of Chattanooga. You love to get involved in the lives of the community here. This morning we're at the Lantern at Morning Point, which is just what you're saying, kind of that full scale of care.
Yeah, the Morning Point has been really good to us as a group. So we do a lot of things to support this company as well. They do such a tremendous job in taking care of our older clients here in Chattanooga.
You like to give out statistics, and they're good ones. They're good ones to write down. So you just said something to me. I'll let you finish it. 80% of men die married.
Right. 80% of women die widowed or single. So I think it's so important. That stat really tells you that women need to plan hard for their health. They need to make sure that they have the ability to pay for a wonderful facility like this, God forbid if they need it.
Do you want to get into numbers at all? You shared them with me.
I don't mind. So in the state of Tennessee, if you look at just assisted living, the state of Tennessee, it's an average of $3,900 a month for assisted living. For assisted living. Now, if you need full skill care, that's going to go up to over $9,000 on average a month, Julie. So if you don't have a good long-term care insurance plan or some other ways to put money back for long-term care, it could really catch you off guard.
So let's talk about that. And I'm going to set this up a little bit. So if you have purchased a long-term care plan and fate smiles on you and you don't have any health issues, you can feel like perhaps you kind of threw your money away.
Yeah, so traditional long-term care, I mean, if you look at the amount of companies that are actually doing it now, it's very few. But, it's one of those things. It's like buying term life insurance.
Right.
If you don't pass away,
you hope you don't need it. Right.
So if you have traditional long-term care insurance, that could, if you stay healthy and the good Lord takes you home in your sleep, then all of that money you've paid into these companies out there, well, they like it because they're going to get to keep all that money and the money's never used for anything else. Now, the thing is, if you have a traditional long-term care insurance plan now, we're going to want you to keep it because if you happen to get sick, it's going to really pay off.
Depending on your age?
Depending on your age.
Okay.
We really start focusing on folks between their, let's say 50, 55, and 60. We really start talking about that bucket of money for long-term care if needed.
Do you have a specific idea of that bucket? How big it ought to be? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's based on every individual, what they can actually afford. But again, if you look at those numbers, if you need full skill care, you're over $100,000 a year coming out of your pocket, coming from somewhere to pay for that care. So we really start focusing on, hey, let's take some assets over here and put the money, if you need long-term care, it's there. If you don't need long-term care, then it's just passed along to the children.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a different conversation than typically you're able to have because obviously Gary's not going to give each person watching generic advice. That's not what you do. But there are some basic truths there. So one thing is that the industry has changed with long-term care. So there are different ways to fulfill the need.
There is. So we call it, if you need long-term care, there's coverage. We have what we call asset-based long-term care. And it's basically where we use a life insurance program. If you need long-term care, it's there. But if you don't, the money's just passed along to your children, your grandchildren, your favorite charity. We also now have some fixed indexed annuities that have long-term care riders attached to them.
Okay.
So even if someone can't qualify because of their health, we can still invest that money and put it somewhere for, if they need long-term care, we have some coverage.
I said this last time we talked, you are not exclusive to the retirement community. I mean, you do a lot of work with people even in their 30s and 40s when their families come along.
And what's neat about these 30 and 40-year-olds is we have programs that they can actually use to generate tax-free wealth, but it also has some long-term care benefits tied into it as well. So we might be able to take a 30, 40, 50-year-old and put them into a plan and create some tax-free wealth for them, but also have a backup for care if they need it.
None of us can predict the future, but if you do take those necessary steps, both in building the financial portfolio, but also keeping your health strong, you can maybe ward off the need to go into these facilities where it's the full continuum of care. So is that part of the joy for you, watching people save that money and then be able to use it well?
Absolutely. We talked about it on the last segment. The number one fear in America is running out of money because we're living longer now. The number two fear in America is getting sick. Because if you haven't planned for it, then you're going to be in trouble. So that's the first two things we talk about with our clients.
Peace of mind is huge.
Peace of mind is great. Yeah. I've lived it with my grandmother. So it can really hurt a family financially if you don't have the right plan in place and someone in your family gets sick.
So the majority of people, I'm guessing, that you see, because you do work closely with Morning Point, are women by the very nature of the stat you just gave.
Right.
You are happy to talk with their adult children if they want to be part of the conversation?
I think that's so important when it comes to this topic because that's where the legacy play comes involved. And I think as children, I'm 49, I want to make sure that my mother is taken care of if she happens to get sick. So I think it's so important to have the children be part of that conversation.
So last time you mentioned this book that you liked to share. You brought it again today. Is it good for women of all ages?
It's great for women of all ages. It's by David Bach. It's called Smart Women Finish Rich. And I think it's just an excellent book that we're willing to give to you. Just by calling our office, we'll mail it to you, or you can simply come by and we'll give you this book to read.
Okay, so here is the phone number for you to call. Also the website there on your screen for you to be able to access. I know it's around the holiday season. Hopefully your family will be coming in to visit. But before the hustle and bustle totally ends, don't forget about the importance of making sure that whatever is around the corner for you tomorrow, you're prepared for.
Yeah, it's a good time to plan for next year.
Yeah, thank you so much.
The holidays are fast approaching, and if you're like a lot of homeowners, you're starting to clean some common areas around your house to prepare for family and friends. Well, today I'm joined by BJ Worgen, the owner of West Shore Home, to find out how West Shore can completely refresh your bath space and do your entire project before Christmas or your entire